And open the mouth, hard breath, exhale. And then the last one, long deep inhale. Open the mouth, hard breath, exhale. And just go back to your natural rhythm of breath and your observation of your breath. The mouth is closed. You're inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils. Your meditation is on the breath. Your mind may distract you. Just come back to the breath. Be aware of each inhale and each exhale. And your breath. Start to think about coming out of this short meditation. Just take a moment to establish how you're feeling, or you're a little bit calmer perhaps. Slowly open your eyes. If you're laying down, please join us in seated. And then bring your hands in front of your heart in Namaste. Bowing the head. Namaste. So our first posture is our very classic butterfly posture. It will be for 3 minutes. You'll have your feet together and you'll have as many props as you want in front of you. We are going to round back and come into the forward fold of this butterfly. If you have a sore back issues, you may want to keep your back fairly straight and just open up the hips. So the timer is on. It's a 3-minute hold. Let's use that breath again for a meditative practice. Take a long, deep inhale and exhale, rounding back in flexion, finding your first edge. Nice easy breathing. We settle here, bowing the head as it feels appropriate. And then when you feel it may be acceptable to your body, bow a little bit more until you find what we're looking for, our edge. A place where you know something's happening, but it's without pain. It's just an awareness that something is happening, opening, stretching. Again, in this butterfly posture, our focus can be on the breath, taking this into a meditative practice. For your final minute, you have an option to draw the heels closer to the groin, which will open up the hips a little bit more. But if you wish to work the spine, leave the feet where they are. And then find perhaps another edge, different edge that you can be aware of. For your last 5 breaths in this posture, and then bring the hands to your mat and just slowly guide yourself all the way up, nice and slowly. Bring your hands underneath your knees and separate your feet so they're as wide as the mat. Then you're going to bring your hands behind you, lean back a little bit and point the hands towards your body. And then we'll do the butterfly. So just the windshield wipers, counter posture for the butterfly. And if your knees are not landing on the earth, then the wider your feet are, the more opportunity you have to draw those knees down. Just work into the hips. There's no judgment of yourself, just a nice easy flow this evening. And then we'll come back. And this time we'll have nice long legs and open them quite wide. So again, back issues, it's again a forward fold, so you may want to keep fairly straight. Cushions can come on top, underneath the tight hamstrings. So take an inhale, lengthen up. On the exhale, twist to your right. Take an inhale and exhale. Find your first edge. So find your first bow. Nice, easy breathing. You may notice that Malcolm takes one hand behind him, and this makes it a little bit more accessible for his forward bow. So don't rush into the postures, let the body decide when it wants to go deeper. Remember, props can be underneath those knees. If your hamstrings are shouting at you, you can even put your arms underneath your knees of the prop, bowing forward. And just wait a while before you go into the full forward bend. Just checking out that you're not in pain. We're just wanting to find our deepest edge. Just simply out of our comfort zone a little bit. And then we can return to that meditative state, working with our breath if it feels appropriate. Just following each inhale and each exhale. So having a nice moving meditation, really. How deep does the body want to yield? You have another minute, maybe take another long, deep inhale. Lengthen up a little bit and exhale, falling down into your final deepest edge. We've completed our 3 minutes, so slowly we walk ourselves all the way back. Nice and slowly all the way back. Bring the hands behind you and let's do those windshield wipes again. Just to the left or to the right, doesn't matter which way you go. Just working into the hips. So we're working into the spine and the hips. And we'll do one more on each side. And then come back to the wide-legged stance again. And we're just going to go to the opposite side. So we lengthen up first of all. We always lengthen up before we twist. On the exhale, we twist, opposite leg. Take an inhale and exhale. Take it around. And again, don't rush to get into the posture. Let the body yield at its own pace. No rush. If we rush, we pull and turn. But if we take our time, we slowly open. We're working with our connective tissue, the fascia, surrounds all the muscles and joints of your body. And it takes time for that fascia and connective tissue to open. Again, return to that meditation on the breath. If the mind is distracting you, come back to the breath. Maybe take a long, deep inhale, lengthen up a little bit. And exhale, deeper into another edge. The last 5 inhales and exhales in this posture. And then slowly rise, nice and slowly. And again, hands behind, feet flat. And again, I'll reach your elbows. I'm hoping you're feeling what's happening in the hips and in the spine. We have one more forward bend. Again, the legs will be wide open. You can take them wider open as well if you want to, but please be aware that you're stressing the knee joints here in a healthy way. It feels painful, bring the legs a bit closer together. We're doing our all the way forward, lots of props in front of you. You can pile them up as well, especially if you've got back issues. Just keep your back fairly straight. No back issues. We're flexing the spine. Take an inhale. Exhale, rounding back. Again, we take it slow, there's no rush. There's nothing to be gained by rushing. Even in life, there's nothing to be gained by rushing. Let's take our time, enjoy each step of the journey. So we are doing breath meditation, but perhaps thoughts may come into your mind that you may want to acknowledge. See what's happening with the mind as well. And then if it feels appropriate, leave those thoughts for another time and come back to your breath. So again, we can lengthen up a little bit, take an inhale and exhale, taking us into a deeper edge. You're into your final minute. The last 5 breaths. And then slowly, hands to the earth, and just guide ourselves all the way up. Slowly, pick up the knees, and just give yourself a little help. Then come into child posture, so just roll over and come into child posture. So use any cushions that you may want underneath your buttocks or in front of you. We're here for a minute. If you don't like your belly on your knees, just open the knees a little bit wider and let the belly drop through the knees. That might make it more accessible. And your next posture will be Sphinx. So we're just going to rise up into all fours. Let the legs And behind you, elbows underneath the shoulders and come into your spins. Now, you may want to have a little rest first of all. Maybe the back didn't like that. So bring your hands underneath your forehead and soften here for just a minute or so. You can, of course, remain in this same position for the entire back sequence. It's a back bend. It's a very light back bend. So if you have back issues, you may want to just stay right where you are. If there's no back issues, we're coming into Sphinx. So just draw your elbows underneath the shoulders, your feet together or apart, whichever feels appropriate for your spine. Cushions can also come underneath. It makes it more accessible for you. Some of you may have bolsters. And if you want to lift a little bit more into your back bend, find you're not rising up too much, place your cushion underneath your pelvis. And this will allow, as Malcolm's just done, he's popped his cushion under his pelvis, which allows him to lift up a little bit more. Gaze can be forward, or you can flex your head, but you've had enough flexions already. So see whether you want to just keep your gaze forward. It's 3 minutes. Just bring your awareness to your buttocks and check out what happened with the buttocks. Did they automatically tighten, or did they stay quite relaxed? It doesn't matter what happens, it's just an awareness. Maybe your back has a little bit of tightness in the buttocks, or maybe the spine is happy with the buttocks relaxed. It's just awareness in your postures. And you can even support your head if you wanted to. So you can always bring your hands underneath your chin. Do you want to do that, Malcolm? And you can support your head as well. So lots of options. And you may recall when we were children, this is how we would read our books. It's a very healthy way to have a nice back bend. And if you have got spine issues, back bends are beneficial to you. So don't be scared of your back bends. Just be cautious and careful and enjoy your back bends. And again, we can bring focus back to the breath. In this position, you'll be able to feel that breath in the abdomen. You just want to increase it for the final. Maybe you can always draw your heels in the direction of your buttocks. This will increase the back bend. If you're not feeling it as much as you'd like to, this will increase that back bend a little bit. Just a couple more breaths. And then release the feet down. And then we're going to just bring the head onto those hands underneath the forehead again. So just soften into that posture. Our next posture will be child posture, so hands underneath the shoulders. Rise up through the cobra back bend. I get some clicking and cracking going on here. That's always good news. Walk your knees in, stop, and then very slowly edge your way back into child posture. So you're getting clicking and cracking going on. That means something has moved, which is good news, as long as it comes with that bed. Couple more breaths in your child posture. And very slowly, we're going to come up to a long-legged seated position. We're going to take one leg across the other knee and just be on the outer edge of that foot and let it relax. Lengthen up through the spine, a nice straight spine, and the bottom leg is nice and straight as well. We're just going to stay here. So we want to have a think about our spine being really nice and tall. And we can focus on our breath. And here we can notice as we inhale, the belly rises. And as we exhale, the belly falls. You can close your eyes if you want to. So we have external hip rotation on the cross leg, and we're working into the hamstrings on the long leg. We're also focusing on our spine, nice straight spine. And then we return to that meditative practice of breath. Perhaps notice how your back wants to round a little bit. Don't let that happen. Keep it straight. Soften the shoulders. We have a wonderful opportunity to bring awareness to our bodies when we're in our yin posture. And just a couple more breaths. And then release the posture and bend the knees and we're back to windshield wipers again. So feet flat, hands behind, and we're back to windshields. And then we're going to do exactly the same with the opposite. So the opposite foot comes across. You lengthen up through the spine, soften the shoulders, hold on to the knee, keep that spine nice and straight. And again, we focus on our breath, our inhales, our exhales. YIN offers you a beautiful golden opportunity really to just have an easy meditation. Sometimes it's hard to sit and meditate. We naturally fall into meditation in our YIN posture. Remember to be aware of your spine being straight. Don't let that spine round. Secure breath. And slowly we'll release out of the posture. And again, feet flat, reach your wipers. Hands behind, separate your feet wide, and this will be the last one of the windshield wipers. And then the next posture is called Happy Baby. So we're just going to lay on our backs. I'm going to come sideways so you can see what we'll be doing. Lay on our backs. Draw the knees into the chest. Have a little rock and roll. And then either have your hands behind your knees and draw each knee towards your armpits, so separate the knees wide. Or if you're more advanced, maybe feet up towards the ceiling, hands on ankles, draw knees to the armpits, or hands on the outer edge or the inner edge of your feet, and have a nice happy baby. So feel the spine now just spreading on the mat and drawing those knees in the direction of your armpits. And just breathe and relax. And just a few more breaths in your happy baby. And then draw the knees together, feet together, and just have a little roll around on that lower back and sacrum. And our final posture will be a nice restorative twist. So we're just going to have the feet together, the knees together. Maybe have cushions underneath the knees. Just going to drop the knees to the right. You don't need the cushion, don't use the cushion. You can also have the cushion underneath your head as well if you want to. Or underneath the shoulder that may be lifting off the mat. And it's always really nice to complete your practice with a twist, just restores equilibrium and harmony to the spine. If you want to work into the neck, you can always take the gaze in the opposite direction to the knees. See if that feels accessible today. And just a few more breaths. And then slowly bring yourself back to your neutral position. Feet flat onto the mat. Lift up the hips a little bit and settle the lower back down. And then draw the knees into the chest. And have that little roll around on the sacrum again. And then slowly feet flat onto the mat. And we drop the knees in the opposite direction for all 3 minutes. And again, you can always pop a pillow underneath the shoulder that may be lifting, or underneath the head, or underneath the knees. Lots of options. We use the props to allow us to stay in the postures a little bit longer. And again, if you want to work into the neck, you can turn the gaze away from the knees and work into the neck. And a couple more breaths. And then slowly we'll find ourselves back into our neutral position. Lift up the hips a little bit, settle the spine down, and then draw the knees into the chest. And this is your final run around on that lower back. Sometimes it's nice to have quite a chill out session, not asking too much of our bodies. I'm really working with the mind and softening and relaxing everything. So bring your feet flat to the mat with a very short relaxation, as we've been quite meditative throughout the practice. So just stretch your legs long and maybe take your legs even wider than the mat. And then maybe take your arms up and over in pentacles. So maybe just have a really open stretch. Nice, easy breathing. Don't like the arms here, you can always bring them down by the side. Shavasana. Whichever you feel is appropriate. And then just have a thought about, did you want more from this practice? Did you want to push yourself harder? Or were you quite content to just be? So bring your hands down by the side of your body, feet flat onto the mat. Feel free to stay longer if you want to, or join me to say goodbye, or roll over. And coming up into our comfortable seated positions, long-legged or cross-legged. Bring your hands in front of your heart.